Hello there and welcome back. Today we're going to talk about trauma bonds, how to recognize them, and how to defeat them. Have you ever found yourself stuck in a relationship that feels more like a toxic roller coaster than a fairy tale happily ever after? Where the highs are euphoric, but the lows are soul crushing. And somehow, despite every single red flag that's been waving like it's in a hurricane, you just cannot walk away? No matter how much you tell yourself, this is it, I'm not going to do this anymore. You find yourself developing a strange amnesia immediately after until the next incident that has you declaring it's over. That, my friend, is what we call a trauma bond, a psychological entanglement so strong it can feel impossible to break, even when you know that it's destroying you. But here's the truth: trauma bonds can be broken. And once you understand how they work, you'll realize that what you thought was love was really just a carefully woven web of manipulation, emotional starvation, and the kind of chemistry that's better suited for a crime scene than a love story. So let's get into it: how trauma bonds form, why they feel so addictive, and most important, how to break free and heal for good. Anyway, a trauma bond is a deep emotional attachment that's formed between a victim and their abuser through a cycle of abuse and intermittent reinforcement. You know, those little breadcrumbs of affection and apologies that keep you hooked. This bond is often mistaken for love, but in reality, it's a psychological survival mechanism that develops in abusive relationships, keeping you locked into a pattern that's nearly impossible to escape without serious self awareness and support. Dr. Patrick Carnes, who originally coined the term, describes trauma bonding as a dysfunctional attachment created through periods of mistreatment followed by positive reinforcement. Essentially, your brain gets addicted to the high of the good times after enduring so much bad. These bonds don't just exist in romantic relationships, they can show up pretty much anywhere: in toxic friendships, in cults, in workplaces, and even in family dynamics. If you've ever felt strangely loyal to a boss who treated you like garbage, but occasionally gave you praise, or struggled to cut off a parent who hurt you deeply, but also swore they only did it out of love, that's trauma bonding, baby. So, how do these form? Hint here, spoiler alert, it's not love, it's science. The answer is in a cocktail of psychology, brain chemistry, and good old fashioned manipulation. First, we have the wonderful intermittent reinforcement. You can think of this like a slot machine. You don't win every time, but the occasional payout keeps you just pulling that lever. Abusers work the same way. They tear you down, then they sprinkle in just enough kindness to keep you invested. That dopamine hit when they're nice again, it's addictive as hell. And remember, abusers have invested a considerable amount of time into learning the ins and outs of your emotional world. They know what makes you tick. So, in other words, they know the exact boxes to check to keep you hooked. Then we have your good old survival instincts and nervous system. Your brain craves safety, even in dangerous situations, maybe especially in dangerous situations. In abusive relationships, that fight or flight response gets hijacked, which makes you attached to the very person causing the pain because your brain doesn't know any different. It's desperately trying to fix, in air quotes, the threat rather than flee from it. The very person that causes you danger is the same person that's fixing it. Talk about a mind fuck. Then we can sprinkle in some childhood wounds in our attachment styles. If you grew up in a household where love was inconsistent, where it was conditional, or it was abusive, your brain may have been primed for trauma bonding from the start. You see, we subconsciously seek what feels familiar, even when it's toxic, because familiar somehow feels safe, even when it's not. Then we have the old abusers stand by their favorite, gaslighting and manipulation. The abuser will convince you that the pain is your fault. You're just overreacting, or you're never going to find anyone else. At least no one better than they are. Over time, you start to doubt yourself, and your world shrinks until they are the center of it. And finally, fear and dependency definitely play a role in trauma bonds. You see, abusers isolate their victims. They make them dependent, whether that's emotionally, financially, even physically, or all of the above. So leaving feels, next to impossible, actually, and not even safe. Sort of like the devil you know is safer than the devil that you don't. Bring some theory into reality with some examples. First, we have the classic toxic relationship. He cheats, he lies, he belittles you. But when you try to leave, he showers you with apologies, with tears, and with grand promises. You forgive him, again, because you want to believe the good times meant something. You really do. That's normal. Our narcissistic parents. Your mom criticizes everything you do, but she calls you her favorite when you make her look good. The emotional whiplash keeps you craving approval that never really comes. It's a constant cycle, an endless run on the hamster wheel. Ooh, and how about that high stakes toxic workplace? You know, the boss who overworks and belittles you, but occasionally throws you a bone that "you're my best employee" speech. Suddenly you're willing to endure the hell for that rare validation and hate yourself for it. You even have the cult like friendship for 1,000 points, Alex. Your best friend controls who you talk to, criticizes your choices, but then makes you feel like you're soul sisters. Walking away feels kind of like betraying yourself. If any of these sound familiar, buckle up because it's time to break free. So let's talk about how to break a trauma bond without losing your sanity in the process. Escaping a trauma bond is not just about walking away. It's about completely rewiring your brain and reclaiming your power. Because if you walk away and you have not taken all the steps to heal yourself, there's a good chance either you'll be sucked back into the initial trauma bond, or you'll just jump right into another relationship with somebody else that you will become trauma bonded with. There are ways, though, and here's how. First, we need to recognize the bond for what it is. The first step is waking up to the reality that this is not love, it's conditioning. Acknowledge that the attachment is not a sign of deep connection, it's a symptom of emotional manipulation. And believe me, if you're anything like me, that's going to piss you off. Next, go no contact, or low contact if necessary. Sometimes we can't completely cut somebody out of our lives. That means no more texts, no more closure conversations, no more checking their social media. If it's a family member or a coworker and full no contact isn't possible, establish strict boundaries. Gray rock them. Keep interactions minimal and disengage emotionally. Not easy, but necessary and possible. Now we have to do a detox, an emotional detox from the highs and the lows. Because breaking a trauma bond is like quitting a drug. Your brain is going to crave the abuser's affection, and you're probably going to romanticize the good times. Don't fall for it. Ride out the withdrawal. Journal the ugly truth. Step 4. Make a list of every cruel, manipulative thing that they've done. When nostalgia kicks in, read that list and remind yourself why you left. Step 5, get professional help. Sometimes we need it. Trauma bonds run deep, and therapy, especially trauma-informed therapy, can help you unravel those mental knots, reframe your experience, and rebuild your self-worth. All critical to make sure you don't get sucked back in again. Number 6, reconnect with your true self. Abusers make you doubt your own instincts. They make you doubt your perceptions. They make you doubt everything that you've ever thought, said, or done in your entire life. This is going to be difficult to break, so start small. Do things that make you feel like you again, whether that was painting, traveling, or just dancing in your kitchen. Rediscover your joy. It's there, I promise you. Next, you may need to build a support system. Actually, scratch that may. You will need to build a support system. Surround yourself with people who truly love and respect you. Join a support group. There are other people who have been through the exact same thing you have been. Some are a little further on their journey, some are a little less far on their journey, and some are right where you are. So connect with others who've been through similar experiences. You aren't alone in this. You aren't, even though it feels like it. Finally, learn to love yourself for real this time. At the root of every trauma bond is a belief that you're just not worthy of something better. And that's a lie. You are worthy. You were born worthy. You deserve safety, love, and peace. Not just fleeting moments of it, but a lifetime of it. Just like anybody else out there. Trust me, breaking a trauma bond isn't just about escaping the abuser. It's about healing the wounds that made you vulnerable to one in the first place. It's about learning to trust yourself again, setting boundaries like the queen that you are, and refusing to settle for anything less than you deserve. There are going to be hard days. Sure, there will. You're going to grieve the relationship, even when you know it was toxic. But healing is possible. And on the other side of that, freedom, peace, self respect, and the kind of love that does not require you to suffer first. So take that first step, break the bond, choose yourself, and when in doubt, repeat after me. I deserve real love, the kind that doesn't hurt. And you do. So go out there and find it.